"Can you even shoot that thing?" The question came from Chief Petty Officer Marcus Webb as he watched Staff Sergeant Maya Torres check her M110 SASS rifle in the pre-dawn darkness of Forward Operating Base Chapman. The air was cold and thin at 7,000 feet, carrying the scent of diesel fuel and gun oil. Maya didn't look up from her weapon check. Her fingers moved with practiced precision across the bolt carrier group, testing the tension, feeling for any resistance that didn't belong. She'd performed this ritual every morning since she was 9 years old. "Want me to show you?" she said quietly, her voice carrying none of the defensiveness Webb expected. He laughed, the sound carrying across the staging area where the rest of SEAL Team 3's assault element was preparing for the day's operation. 3 other operators looked over, grins forming in the darkness. Maya Torres had been attached to Naval Special Warfare as a combat linguist for 6 months. In that time, she'd sat in countless briefing rooms, translating intercepted radio traffic, decoding enemy communications, providing real-time intelligence during raids. She was 29 years old, with dark eyes that seemed to absorb more than they reflected, and a reputation for staying quiet when others wanted conversation. What the SEALs didn't know, what nobody in Task Force North knew, was that her father, Gunnery Sergeant Antonio Torres, had trained Marine Corps snipers at Quantico for 20 years before cancer took him. Or that she'd grown up on rifle ranges from California to North Carolina, learning to shoot before she learned algebra. Or that the M110 currently resting in her hands had been custom-tuned with specifications her father had written in his training manual. The mission brief had been straightforward. A high-value target, a Taliban commander named Khalid Massoud, was moving through the Kunar Valley. Intelligence suggested he'd be at a compound outside the village of Gambir around 900 hours. The SEAL team would infill by helicopter, establish a perimeter, and wait for the target to appear. Lieutenant Jake Morrison, the team leader, had requested Maya's presence specifically. Not for her shooting, but because Massoud communicated using a local Pashto dialect that was difficult to parse. They needed someone who could translate his conversations in real time, potentially identifying other high-value targets or learning about future operations. "You'll stay with the command element," Morrison had told her during the brief. "Monitor comms, translate anything you hear. Standard overwatch protocols." She'd nodded, said nothing about the rifle case at her feet or the 1,000 rounds of 7.62mm match-grade ammunition she'd loaded herself. The insertion went smoothly. 2 MH-60 Blackhawks dropped the team at a landing zone 3 kilometers from the target compound. They moved through the darkness in a loose formation, Maya positioned in the middle of the patrol, her rifle slung across her chest, radio headset feeding her a constant stream of intercepted communications. By 0545, they'd established their positions. The SEALs occupied a rocky ridgeline 800 meters from the compound, with clear sight lines to all approaches. Maya set up beside Lieutenant Morrison and the team's dedicated sniper. Petty Officer First Class Ryan Grant was setting up his own rifle, a customized MK-13 Mod 7 chambered in .300 Winchester Magnum. He'd been a NSW sniper for 8 years, with multiple confirmed kills across 3 deployments. He glanced at Maya's M110 with barely concealed dismissal. "That's a decent designated marksman rifle," he said, adjusting his scope. "Good for suppressive fire out to maybe 600 meters, but if we need precision work, I've got it covered." Maya pulled out her range card, a laminated sheet where she'd already calculated wind drift, temperature corrections, and elevation adjustments for distances from 400 to 1,200 meters. She'd done the math the night before, using the forecast data and terrain maps. "Good to know," she said simply. The sun rose slowly over the Hindu Kush Mountains, painting the valley in shades of amber and gold. Through her spotting scope, Maya watched the compound come to life. Women carrying water, children playing in the courtyard, armed men moving between buildings. At 0847, her radio crackled with intercepted traffic, a voice speaking in rapid Pashto. She translated instantly. "Vehicle approaching from the north. ETA 3 minutes. Primary package confirmed." Morrison keyed his radio. "All elements stand by. HVT inbound." 2 Toyota Hilux trucks appeared on the northern road, dust trailing behind them. They pulled into the compound, and 6 men emerged. Maya's breath caught as she recognized the face from the intelligence photos. Khalid Massoud confirmed, she whispered. Center courtyard, blue shirt, 2 bodyguards flanking. Grant adjusted his scope. I've got the shot. 780 meters. Wind is calm. Requesting permission to engage. But Morrison hesitated. Hold. We need to confirm there are no civilians in the line of fire. Torres, what are they saying? Maya listened to the radio intercept, her face hardening. He's ordering an attack. There's a U.S. convoy moving through the valley below. They're going to hit it in 20 minutes. How many attackers? He's saying 15 fighters, RPGs, heavy machine guns. They're moving out now. Morrison's jaw tightened. The convoy would be a sitting duck in the narrow valley pass. No air support could reach them in time. We need to take this shot now, Grant said, before Massoud moves inside. But as Grant prepared to fire, something shifted in the compound. 3 children ran into the courtyard, chasing a ball. They positioned themselves directly behind Massoud, playing, laughing, completely unaware. Negative on the shot, Morrison said. Too much risk of collateral damage. Sir, that convoy. I said negative. Massoud began walking toward the main building. In 30 seconds, he'd be inside, and the opportunity would be gone. The fighters were already loading into trucks, preparing to move toward the convoy ambush position. Grant lowered his rifle, lost the angle. He's going inside. But Maya was tracking something else. Through her scope, she'd noticed a narrow alley between 2 buildings. For exactly 4 seconds, as Massoud walked from the courtyard to the entrance, he'd passed through a sight line that was completely clear. No children, no civilians, just a 3-foot-wide corridor. The problem was the angle. It was offset by 30 degrees from Grant's position. From where he sat, the buildings blocked the view completely. But from Maya's position, 15 meters to the left, the geometry worked perfectly. She did the math in her head. Distance, 820 meters. Wind, 2 miles per hour, quartering from the left. Temperature, 68 degrees Fahrenheit. Elevation angle, 12 degrees downward. The shot was possible. Difficult, but possible. I have a window, Maya said quietly. Morrison turned. What? There's a 4-second window when he crosses between the buildings. Clear line, no civilians, but it's only visible from my position. Grant looked through his scope, then shook his head. I don't see it. The angles don't work from here. From your position, no. From mine, yes. Morrison stared at her. Torres, you're a linguist. I'm a staff sergeant with expert marksman qualification, and I have the shot. Expert marksman isn't sniper qualified. My father trained Marine snipers for 20 years. I've been shooting since I was 9. Every morning, cold bore shot, no exceptions. Sir, that convoy has 12 Americans. We have 4 seconds. Webb's voice came over the radio from his position further down the line. She's serious right now? Maya was already adjusting her scope. Massoud was 20 feet from the doorway. Her fingers moved across the turret adjustments. Click, elevation, windage. The familiar mechanical feel of precision. Morrison had to make a decision. Trust the dedicated sniper who said the shot didn't exist from his angle, or trust the translator nobody had ever seen fire in combat. Torres, if you miss, I won't. You'll have 1 chance. The moment you fire, they'll know we're here. I understand. He looked at her for a long moment. Her hands were steady. Her breathing was controlled. There was no bravado in her expression, no need to prove anything. Just quiet confidence. Take the shot, Morrison said. Maya settled into her position, stock welded to her shoulder, cheek pressed against the rest. Her grandfather's words echoed from childhood range sessions. The rifle doesn't know who's holding it. Fundamentals don't care about rank or reputation. Breathe, focus, trust the process. Through her scope, she watched Massoud approach the alley. The world narrowed to a single point of focus. She could feel her heartbeat in her chest. Slow, rhythmic, 60 beats per minute. Massoud stepped into the alley. Her crosshair tracked him, leading by 14 inches to account for his walking speed. The math was automatic now, calculated in the subconscious. She exhaled half a breath and held. Between heartbeats, in the space where the body goes completely still, she pressed the trigger. The M110 barked. The suppressor muted the sound to a sharp crack instead of a thunderous boom. Through the scope, she watched the bullet's flight. Time seemed to stretch. 820 meters, 1.2 seconds of flight time. Khalid Massoud's head snapped backward. He collapsed in the alley, dead before his body hit the dirt. The compound erupted into chaos. Fighters ran toward the body. Others grabbed weapons and began scanning the ridgeline. "Target down," Maya said calmly, already scanning for secondary threats. Morrison stared through his binoculars, then at her. Holy shit. But Maya was already tracking the fighters loading into trucks. "Sir, the ambush team is still mobile. 12 men in 3 vehicles. They're moving toward the convoy route. Grant had his rifle up now. I can take the drivers." "Negative," Morrison said. "We don't have the angles on all 3 trucks. If even one gets through." Maya's rifle cracked again. The first truck's driver slumped forward, the vehicle swerving into a ditch. She cycled the bolt smoothly, found the second truck. The driver was accelerating, trying to escape. Distance, 940 meters, moving target. Speed, approximately 35 miles per hour. She led the target by 3 feet and fired. The round punched through the windshield. The truck careened into a wall. The third truck turned sharply, the driver realizing they were under fire. He was heading for cover behind the compound buildings. In 5 seconds, he'd be out of sight. Maya tracked the movement. Distance, 1,050 meters. The driver was weaving, making it harder. But there was a pattern. Every 3 seconds he had to straighten out to navigate the road's curve. She waited, breathing, counting. The truck straightened. She fired. The round hit low, catching the driver in the shoulder instead of center mass. But it was enough. The truck swerved violently and rolled, ending up on its side. 3 for 3, Grant whispered. "Who the hell are you?" The remaining fighters in the compound were firing wildly now, shooting in every direction, panicked. Morrison called in close air support, giving them the grid coordinates. An Apache helicopter would be on station in 8 minutes. But Maya was tracking one more target. Through her scope, she'd identified Massoud's second-in-command, a man named Tariq who was on the kill list. He was trying to escape on foot, running toward a tree line 600 meters from the compound. "Secondary HVT moving to the northwest," she said. "Do I have clearance?" Morrison checked his tablet, confirming the face. "That's Tariq Osman, confirmed bomb maker. Take him." The shot was simpler now. Distance 730 meters, no wind, clear sight line. Maya's rifle spoke once more. Tariq fell mid-stride and didn't get up. By the time the Apache arrived, the compound was secure. The convoy Maya had saved didn't even know how close they'd come to an ambush. 12 Americans went home that night because of 4 shots fired in 90 seconds. The extraction was quiet. The team moved back to the landing zone in tactical silence, but Maya could feel the shift. The way Webb nodded at her as they loaded into the helicopter. The way Grant asked to see her rifle during the flight, examining it with new respect. Back at Chapman, Morrison pulled her aside. "I need to know," he said. "How long have you been able to shoot like that?" "Since I was 9, sir. My father believed in fundamentals. Cold bore shot every morning. No excuses. He said if you can make the first shot of the day from a cold barrel, you can make any shot. Why didn't you tell us? Why let everyone assume you were just a translator?" Maya was quiet for a moment, thinking about all the times she'd been dismissed, overlooked, underestimated. Not with anger, but with acceptance. "Because people believe what they want to believe, sir. I learned a long time ago that explaining doesn't change minds. Performance does." Morrison nodded slowly. "We're putting you in for a Bronze Star. What you did today saved a lot of lives. I was just doing my job, sir." "No, you did everyone's job, mine included." That night, Maya sat alone outside her quarters, cleaning her rifle under the stars. Her phone buzzed with a message from her mother back in California. "Your father would be so proud. I know you can't tell me what you do, but whatever it is, I know he's watching." She smiled, running a cloth along the barrel. She thought about all those mornings on the range with him. The patient instruction, the high standards, the belief that excellence didn't require announcement. The door opened behind her. Chief Webb stepped out, holding 2 cups of coffee. "Mind if I sit?" "Free country," she said. He handed her a cup and sat beside her in silence for a moment. "I owe you an apology," he finally said. "That crack this morning. Can you even shoot that thing? I was out of line. You didn't know. I should have known better than to assume. You've been with us for 6 months. Professional. Capable. I should have respected that instead of judging you by your MOS." Maya took a sip of coffee. It was terrible, the way all FOB coffee was terrible. but she appreciated the gesture. "Chief, I'm not offended. You asked a reasonable question. I just answered it in a different way than you expected." He laughed quietly. "Yeah, you could say that. 4 shots, 4 kills, 90 seconds. One of them a moving target at over 1,000 meters. Grant's been shooting his whole career, and he's never made a shot like that. Grant's an excellent sniper. Yeah, but you're something else. Natural talent plus obsessive training. That's a rare combination." They sat in comfortable silence watching the stars over Afghanistan. "Can I ask you something?" Webb said. "That last shot, Tariq. He was running, 700 meters plus. You led him by almost 4 feet. How'd you know?" "My father taught me to see the math before I see the target. Speed, distance, wind, elevation. By the time the crosshair touches them, the equation is already solved. Your old man must have been something special." He was. The next morning, Lieutenant Morrison called an all-hands meeting. The entire SEAL platoon assembled in the operations center. Maya stood in the back, uncomfortable with the attention. Morrison spoke clearly. "Yesterday, Staff Sergeant Torres saved 12 Americans who don't even know her name. She eliminated 4 high-value targets in conditions that most trained snipers would consider impossible. And she did it while the rest of us were still figuring out what to do." He pulled out a black challenge coin, custom-made for Team 3. "We don't hand these out often. You have to earn them through actions that go beyond the call of duty. Torres, get up here." Maya walked to the front, face neutral. Morrison placed the coin in her hand. "You're not just our translator anymore. You're our guardian." "Thank you." The room erupted in applause, rare for the usually stoic SEAL community. Grant stepped forward. "There's something else. We're recommending you for an immediate slot at NSW Sniper School, full qualification course. You've already proven you can shoot. We need to teach you everything else." Maya looked down at the coin in her hand. On one side, the SEAL trident. On the other, a simple inscription: "Actions, not words." Her father had lived by that philosophy. Never bragged, never needed validation. Just showed up every day and did the work with excellence. "I'd be honored," she said quietly. 6 months later, Staff Sergeant Maya Torres graduated from Naval Special Warfare Sniper School. She was the first woman to complete the course, but that wasn't the headline in the NSW community. The headline was her scores: highest marks in wind reading, highest marks in cold bore accuracy, highest marks in stress shoot scenarios. She returned to operational status attached to a SEAL reconnaissance element. Over the next 2 years, she compiled 23 confirmed kills across Afghanistan and Syria. Her longest shot, 1,340 meters in 40-mile-per-hour winds during a desert storm. But she never talked about the numbers, never mentioned the medals or the commendations. When younger soldiers asked her about Afghanistan, she gave them the same advice her father had given her: show up every morning, do the work, let the rifle speak. 3 years after that morning at Chapman, Maya returned to the United States. She was assigned to the Naval Special Warfare Center as a sniper instructor. Her first class included 23 students, 22 men and 1 woman. The woman was nervous, Maya could tell, standing slightly apart from the others. Uncertain if she belonged, Maya walked up to her during the first break. "I'm Staff Sergeant Torres. What's your name?" "Petty Officer 2nd Class Jennifer Reed, ma'am." "You look worried." "Just wondering if I can keep up." Maya smiled, thinking about a cold morning at Forward Operating Base Chapman, a question asked with skepticism. A rifle case resting against her boot. "Can you shoot?" "I think so." "Then stop thinking and show me." Reed's face changed, doubt replaced by determination. That afternoon, Maya watched her students on the range. Reed was good, raw, but with solid fundamentals. With the right training, she'd be excellent. Later, after the range went cold, Maya sat alone in her office. On her desk sat 2 photos, one of her father at Quantico teaching a class of Marine snipers, the other of Khalid Massoud's compound, taken from the ridgeline, showing the narrow alley where she'd made the shot that changed everything. Her phone buzzed. A message from Lieutenant Morrison, now a lieutenant commander running his own SEAL team. "Got a mission coming up. Could use someone who speaks Arabic and shoots like the devil himself. Interested?" She typed back. "Always, because that's what operators do." They don't seek attention, don't need applause. They show up when called, make the impossible shot, save lives that will never know theirs. They translate languages and bullets with equal precision. They are the ones who were ignored, underestimated, overlooked, until the moment they rise from the shadows and remind everyone what true excellence looks like. Maya Torres learned that lesson from her father on California rifle ranges. She taught it to SEAL Team 3 in an Afghan valley, and now she was passing it forward to the next generation, because some lessons can't be translated into words. They can only be demonstrated, one shot at a time.